Seconds on, 30 seconds off, 2 exercises. Kettlebell goblet squat and kettlebell two-handed swing. So with the goblet squat, hold it any way that you want. You hold it by the horns up. Grab it by the horns, bottoms up. I generally like to grab it by the bell itself. Things you want to do is at least get to 90, just right here, 90 degrees in the knees. So this isn't a squat yet, so you can't get down there. Maybe grab a box and sit on a box and just get in that depth, at least 90 degrees, getting out of a chair. Another thing we don't want is to let this knee collapse in as you come up. So make sure as you're coming out of the hole on that squat, you're driving those knees out, externally rotated. So corkscrewing your feet through the floor, that engages the glutes, and that protects your knees and your hips from shear force. So for instance, I'll over-exaggerate a little bit, but not a turn. This knee collapses in, you transfer the weight over to the other side, transfers all that shear force onto that knee. Now ideally what we want to do is stack joints on top of each other. So I want to stack my knee on top of my ankles. So I'm not initiating the movement by pushing my knees forward. A lot of people do that. So that's another reason to have a box or a chair to sit down. So as you drive that knee forward, it's not the end of the world, but you are creating more shear force on that knee. So just like if you're sitting on a chair, you push your butt back first. Sometimes you definitely get dorsiflexion, so that the knee will go forward a bit, but you want to try to avoid that as much as possible. Tall posture each time. Two-handed swing. What we're trying to do is tame that arc. So that means keeping that bell as close to your body as possible. So you don't want to extend those arms out over there. That's going to limit how much you can lift. It's going to increase your chances of injuries. Pull you off balance with a heavy enough load. And it's going to be really hard to hold that. So the analogy that I use, if I'm holding a book out here, I'm very limited on how long I can hold it versus if I hold it here. So I'm stronger. Everything you keep closer to your body, the stronger you'll be. So with that being said, you retract your shoulder blades, your shoulders still go in flexion, so we're not doing bicep curls here. I'm not a big fan of that variation. I still want your arms to go up. So what that looks like, so instead of doing this, our shoulders still go up. So you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades. That engages all the muscles in the upper back, and that protects your spine, and that hits all the posterior chain muscles, especially when we're doing a hip extension. One of the last things I'll touch on doing this swing, which I've been seeing a lot, is people over extending, hyperextending, compressing the disc in the back. You're just going straight up. So like if I was doing a jump shot, I'm going straight up, so I'm going backwards. So I'm generating upward force. But instead of dragging through your toes, because if you drag through your toes, it's going to pull you forward. You want to drag through your heels, stay balanced, power. So it'll look like this. Tight shoulders. Like a couple other ones really quick. So if I don't go 90 degrees in my hips, so I'm here, I end up using more upper body and lower body. And now it'll look like this. See, I'm not even swinging, I'm just using my upper body. So I want my hands to go deep into my hips. What that allows is more power transfer from my hips to the kettlebell. If I'm up here, I'm relying on more upper body and momentum than anything. So I'm going to lower my hips up like a slingshot. I got a little bit of flexion in my knees, then I explode, driving through my hips. Boom. That's essentially it. So what we can do in this one is you could go up every round maybe. So like maybe you start out in the medium one, warming up, and then you're working up that heavy one, or you can stay with the same one depending on where you are in your training at this time. Any questions?